Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Well, we do have obviously plenty of different meta choices right now for Warzone gameplay, whether you're looking for the best rifles, LMGs, snipes, SMGs, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of weapons y'all are sleeping on. There's some underrated, great choices right now, some sort of off-meta loadouts that I wanted to break down here today. The top 5 best of them, actually, if you're looking for something just to spice up your gameplay. We're starting first with one of my personal favorites, the MP7, aka the Vel 46. Even dating back to Warzone 1, the MP7 was one of my favorite SMGs because it's always been versatile like it is now. It's good in the close range. It's competitive enough to hang with some of the other SMGs, but then it really starts to thrive in like the early mid-range, and so it's got that versatility option that not every single SMG in the game has, while also being incredibly easy to use, right? So initially here I'm starting off with the sonic suppressor. It's actually going to hurt my control a tad bit, but like I said, this thing's easy to use, not a huge deal. We do lose some sprint to fire. We'll gain that back later, and this helps out that first damage range, makes it even more lethal, and does help gain an edge on some other options in the SMG category, and it helps out the velocity, which makes it even better for that early mid-range, as I mentioned. The dart barrel's kind of going to do more of the same there at that added velocity, also gains some control back. It only hurts your mobility a tad bit across the board, so not really a huge deal there. So it just adds some nice consistency to the setup in all types of fights. I do go for the angled underbarrel here. Really just focuses on that horizontal control. No penalties outside of vertical control. Not a big deal. So it just makes the pattern a lot more predictable. Easy to use per usual. The basic 50 round extended mag, if you wanted to upgrade to 60, that's totally an option as well. You'll be a little bit slower, but it's not the end of the world. So either or works just fine there, honestly. Then I also go for the soldier rear grip. This one's all focused on mobility here with ADS speed and sprint to fire. So you're still snappy and aggressive while also being a laser beam and having some good mid-range values in there as well. So you're sleeping on the Vel 46. This thing's actually surprisingly good. That said, I'd love to see a lot of the MW2 SMGs buffed, including this one, just to bring them even more in line with some MW3 ones. Now, one of the few MW3 weapons that I feel is a little bit underrated is probably the best sniper support option in the game, or arguably the best sniper support. It's the MCW, which as a normal rifle, pretty mediocre. It's low recoil, but its damage is kind of but you change it to the conversion kit and it becomes an SMG AR hybrid, and this thing fries. It's fast, it's aggressive, crazy good close range TTK. I love the feel of this thing, and it's really not used as much as some other sniper support options like the RAM or even some SMGs. So this is one you might want to pick up and give it a try because this setup is pretty nasty. So initially we do have the Jack Raven kit on there, obviously to make it an AR SMG, getting better rate of fire, better mobility, better damage up close. You just love to see that. I don't love the irons. They're a little bit bulky in this situation, so I just go for an ELO sight. The Night Hour is pretty good. Slate's good as well. As always, whenever you're using an optic, just go for the one that's going to be the most comfortable for you. I do use the 40 round mag here. That is a bit of a drawback here. It's got a faster fire rate, and this is the max capacity extended mag, so you do have to be mindful of that. Its damage per mag's not fantastic, but the TTK is, so if you're landing shots, you'll be just fine. Because this is so easy to use, I do use the DR6 hand stop here just to increase my mobility even more, make it even more aggressive as an AR SMG combo. And then of course, just to make this thing an absolute laser beam, I'm using the Jack BFB, which as we know turns your red dot into an advanced UAV ping, which in the close to mid-range can almost be an advantage because it takes away elevation, so you sort of get that element of surprise and you can just fry enemies because you're not going to have any recoil using this thing on there. So this is definitely a slept on sort of conversion and way to approach gameplay with the MCW, but it gets the job done very well. Next up we got the Kastov 545, another MW2 weapon that is slept on. Now really, playlist update every time. Anyways, another MW2 weapon that's slept on. Its long range is not crazy by any means, but really its mid-range is wildly effective, and what that mid-range is right there with those other prime MW2 MW3 rifles that do well there, some of the LMGs in that mix as well. And so you end up having a really aggressive rifle here that's great for like resurgence style gameplay in specific. It's also extremely easy to use as well. Obviously MW2 weapons typically have a little bit more control issues with their visual recoil and their patterns, but this one is arguably one of the easier ones in the game. Initially here, going for a 2.5 times optic for the mid to long range. As I'm sure you guys know by now, this is sort of my go-to choice. Again though, always go for preference here if need be. The 60 round extended mag works just fine here. If you wanted to jump down to 45 to be a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive, you could do so, but damage per mag obviously will be the best with 60. Again, I am using the FTAC angled underbarrel here just because it's so easy to use. I can go and attack that horizontal control, and it's going to be an absolute laser beam. The pattern will be super predictable, and I don't need to slow it down anymore just because it's already so straightforward. So really unique feature with that I can sort of get better stats out of one specific area without having to worry about hurting anything else. Spirit Fire Suppressor, better range, velocity, and control, just making it even better for the mid to long range. Then I go for the 406 barrel, again, range, velocity, and control benefits, and for whatever reason, a little bit of minimum hip fire spread. I don't know why that's a thing on a long barrel. Completely irrelevant stat, but it's there in the advanced stat, which is kind of weird. But yeah, this thing, it was honestly creeping up towards the best of the best towards the end of MW2 and Warzone 2 last year. Then obviously MW3 dropped and everyone forgot about this thing. It's still really good. Now, as we get into the last couple of setups here, quick reminder, if you are new to the channel or you simply have not subscribed yet, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, and meta breakdowns like this. So if you want to guarantee you're always up to date, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Join us on the road to 1 million subs. And if you guys enjoy this video or if you find it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like on the video itself. It really does help the channel grow. Next up, a weapon that we actually just talked about not too long ago, the STB-556. Not only is this slept on and is this underrated, it's also one of the best rifles in the game in general in terms of TTK value specifically. This thing's right up there with some of the best MW3 options in the game. And for mid-range and long range, it's actually an extremely viable option. Its problem is its magazine capacity, and this is what limited it last year too. 42 rounds is a decent extended mag on something like maybe a Hemlock or a 7.62 that has a slower fire rate. This doesn't have that. It's a relatively quick fire rate, so you do run out of ammo pretty quick. The damage per mag here is not all that great, but if you can land your shots and know how to approach things accordingly with a smaller magazine, you'll be just fine. Again, I got the 2.5 times optic. In this case, just to make this thing, I will say it's already a really easy gun to use, but Ruin Heavy support makes it even easier, especially with the recoil gun kick. This is one that might be a little bit more noticeable in some situations for some longer range, so it'll help out there. Hurts your ADS speed, not a huge deal in this case in specific though, so it'll work just fine. Again, we got the Spirit Fire Suppressor for that 3-in-1 combo. Then I go for the rear guard. This is just range and velocity. You don't get any added control out of this, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. It's not a huge deal breaker just because this again is one of the easier options in the game, especially in terms of MW2 guns, so you'll be just fine there. Practice with it a little bit, get used to that damage per mag, and when you're gonna run out of ammo, when you know you have to stop to reload, and this thing will actually fry really consistently, so it's a nice surprise there. And then lastly, I've got the SO14. What we want to focus on here is the semi-auto version of this. Full auto, not good anymore. Semi-auto, though, actually has a really crazy TTK at kind of all ranges. Like, it's almost on the verge of broken. It's just a ridiculously difficult weapon to use because you have to be spamming it basically at max RPM to get a crazy TTK, which just is not sustainable. Even the best of the best players are going to fault here and there and, not have a super fast TTK in one gunfight, and it could cost you. But if you can at least get it to a semi-consistent fire rate there, you're gonna be fine. This thing's got insane damage for sure. So initially, again, 2.5 times optic, just because I'm using this across the board mid to long range. It's nice and consistent and convenient. The 50-round drum, you don't have to worry about running out of ammo ever. You can sort of shoot at your own pace and you'll know exactly when you're gonna have to reload there. Ruin Heavy support works great here because it is helping out with the recentering speed and that stabilization. Ripper 56 would also be a great choice as well, though, for what it's worth. I do use the Jack BFB here just to make it as laser beam-esque as possible. When you are spamming it at a fast fire rate in semi-auto, there's a decent amount of recoil, so this really does help limit that to a certain extent. And then the Boremaster barrel here, better range, better velocity, better control, better pizza. We had to throw it in here at least one time, so that'll help out again with the overall efficiency in the mid to long range. But by far the highest skill gap weapon in the video here today, but also the most rewarding in theory if you can hit your shots. And that being said, those are 5 of the best off-meta and most underrated weapons in MW3 Warzone right now, and that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it, and of course, if you're new here, you want to guarantee you're always up to date with all things going on between MW3 and Warzone, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.